Hey, Shalom Makim Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that's what teaching this truth. And much peace, love, and salutation to the elect, beginning with the 144,000, all the way down to the large multitude that believes and who the Lord will deliver in these last days. To you all I say Shalom. I'm the brother Tazamah from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming back today with another lesson, and I pray this lesson will be edifying to the elect. Today's lesson is going to be entitled, Thou shalt eat dust all the days of your life. All right, thou shalt eat dust all the days of your life. And, the title of this lesson, just comes by way of, the scripture that's written in here in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, which was a curse that was given to the serpent. All right. Now, modern day Christianity, westernized Christianity would teach you that it was an actual snake, that slithered up to Eve, and then had an apple, which it doesn't say it was an apple. It just says fruit, which that fruit is talking about different philosophies. But anyways, modern day Christianity would teach you that it was an actual snake that slithered down and handed Eve an apple from a tree, of an actual tree that, the Lord commanded them not to eat from, a physical tree that grows out the earth. And if you eat this apple or this fruit, now you have the knowledge of good and evil, which, Genesis, I will say that Genesis and Revelation, the beginning of the beginning of the scriptures as well, all going all the way to the ending of the scriptures, all right, is a book, or books I rather say, that are very hard to understand if you're not spiritually discerned. All right. And really, when you go into it, when it says that thou shalt eat the dust of the thou shalt eat dust all the days of thy life, that's really, going to, goes into the confusion that Esau will be in, in the latter days, as well as the curse that he's going to be, humiliated. Eating dust, primarily symbolizes, degradation, defeat and divine judgment, which is ultimately what Esau is going to receive. Because if you can receive it in the spirit, that serpent, okay, is Esau coming back in the reincarnation, if you can receive it. Now, the scriptures doesn't actually say that, but of course, as the scripture says, that a spiritual man discerns comparing spiritual things with spiritual things. Okay. Now, when you read Genesis 3 and 14, it says, and Yahweh power said unto the serpent. All right, let's get this word serpent. Excuse me. All right. That word serpent in the Hebrew is pronounced nachash. All right, nachash. So it says serpent, snake, serpent, image of serpent, fleeing serpent. Now, a serpent was also used, all right, in the ancient world as a sign of like a high level wisdom. Like you have the statues at Yale University. And it goes into the levels of intelligence. You have like, I'm not saying this in order, but you have like the monkey, you have the parrot, you have the frog, you have the owl, and then you have the serpent, which the serpent was the highest level, or the most keen level. Okay, so you have nachash, which is serpent, snake, serpent, image, fleeing serpent. But when you get the root word of nachash, it says what? To practice divination. Okay, now what is divination? All right, let's look up the definition of divination in the Edemon Online Dictionary. All right. That word divination says late 14th century divination. It says act of foretelling by supernatural or magical means. Excuse me, let me read that again. Act of foretelling by supernatural or magical means the future, of discovering what is hidden or obscure. From Old French divination, from Latin divinationem, or from divinatio, the power of foreseeing. All right, to see before. All right, like fortune telling to a degree, prediction. Okay, to be inspired by a god. All right, it says noun of action from past participle stem of divinare. Right, Latin, to be inspired by a god, from divinus, of a god, or from divus, a god. Right, related to dies, a god. All right. So it goes back to being inspired by a god. Now we know that Esau, all right, is inspired on the left-hand side, and he does practice divination on the left-hand side, and that's something that's not new. All right, Janus and Jambres, they practiced divination, when they were in Egypt. It all goes back to ancient Sumerian, Babylonian and Sumerian practices. So it says to practice divination, divine, observe signs, learn by experience, right? Diligently observe, practice fortune telling, take as an omen to practice divination. Okay, so the serpent was a diviner. Okay, someone that had the ability to practice divination. Okay, so it wasn't an actual snake. Okay, so it says back in Genesis 3:14, it says, and Yahweh power said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Okay, now it says that now that because thou hast done this, because thou hast done what? Because he deceived Eve by saying what? Thou shalt not surely die. Let's actually get that real quick. Okay. Excuse me. All right, this is Genesis 3:2. It says, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. All right, now these trees, all right, are people. Okay, this is what the trees represent. The trees represent people. All right, you can liken the trees being unto people when you read John the 9th chapter. All right, when Yahweh Shai healed the blind man, and he said, I see people, his eyes was being opened. He said, I see people as trees. It's also quoted that we will be trees of righteousness in Isaiah 61. See, but you gotta know and have the spiritual discernment when it's actually talking about a physical tree, or if it's talking about actual people here. So it says, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, right? But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the powers hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Okay, you don't eat of it and don't touch it. All right. The scripture says, taste and see that the Most High is that Yahweh Bashim Shai is good, but you're not to eat nor to touch of this tree. You see, and the scripture says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. It shall surely pollute you, and it shall destroy you with the sword of destruction. Matter of fact, let me see. Touch not, handle not. Let me see real quick if I can find it. Taste not. Let me see if I can find it. Excuse me. Right. This is Colossians 2:20. It says, wherefore if ye be dead with Hamashiach from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinances? Touch not, taste not, handle not. These are going into different doctrines that was being spread during this time. You know what I'm saying? In regardings to, things that you can eat and things that you're not to eat, whether they be sacrificed to idols or not. But touch not, taste not, or handle not, can also go into different philosophies. As we're not to, mingle ourselves with we're not to mingle ourselves with the gods of this world. Remember, the scripture says that it says, let me see if I can actually get that real quick. Salaki, so many scriptures going through my head, so I want to make sure I stay on topic. But this is Isaiah 30. All right, Isaiah 30 and 21. It says, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left, going into how we would hear this knowledge. We would hear our teachers teaching on the highways and byways via the internet, the actual highways and byways, so on and so forth. Ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver, and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away as a minstrel's cloth. Thou shalt say unto it, get thee hence. Meaning that what? We would not touch, we would not touch these philosophies no more. We would not taste of the fruit of the forbidden knowledge that we once took part of. You see? So it says, and a woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the powers have said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. You see? And that's exactly how, death was sown into the world. The scripture says that Adam was not first in transgression, but the woman was first in transgression, because Eve was the one that had of that fruit, and Adam partook of it from Eve, right? That's why the serpent came to the woman, because the scripture says that the woman is the weaker vessel, right? It says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. You see, as it says here in the NLT, it says, you won't die. The serpent replied to the woman when she was lying. He was like, you ain't gonna die. And what if the woman, okay. That was Eve. Now it doesn't tell you, this was it doesn't tell you, that this wasn't something that just happened in 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? 30 minutes, she ate, all of a sudden, eyes open, and all of a sudden, no, this happened over a period of time. You see? It says, for the Most High, for the powers, doth know that, and I'm saying powers because when you get that word God here, that word in the Hebrew is Alahayim, okay, which is gods in a plural sense, or powers in a plural sense, right? So it says, for the powers doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, right, knowing good and evil. You see? And that's exactly the position that we're in right now. Our eyes have, we were at one point programmed, to just know good, to do the things that were pleasing to the Lord. That was the way that was given unto Adam. But through being deceived by Eve, and then Eve feeding that's the same philosophy and knowledge to Adam. Now death is reigning in the world. And we all come from Adam, and that passes down onto us. So going back here, it says, in Yahweh power said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. You see, so what snake do you know that really eats dust? Okay, when you look at a snake now today, snakes will eat, small little rodents, whether they be like little rats or, small birds. They may eat eggs, But what snake do you know that just walks around? What snake that slithers around eating dust? There's not a snake that does that. So you gotta take what's being said here and spiritually extrapolate what's being said. But the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shai has to be on you to be able to do that. Okay? Now once again, eating dust, it symbolizes degradation, defeat, and divine judgment. Now let's get this word dust here in the Hebrew. All right, that word dust is ipar. All right, it says dry earth, dust, powder, ashes, earth, ground, mortar, rubbish. All right, which it pretty much means being, it pretty much goes into being in a lowly state. But when you go down here, it says as serpent's food, token, right, or a sign, token of punishment and humiliation. Humiliation. Now the scripture says a few things. Let's get what's that? Let's get Daniel. Let's get the book of Daniel real quick. Let's get Daniel 4 and 17. All right, it says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, right, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Now, who's the world given to right now? The scripture says that the earth is given to the hands of the wicked. Who are the wicked? Malachi, the first chapter, goes into to tell you who the wicked is, are the Edomites. And setteth up over it the basest of men. So the Edomites are known as the basest or the lowest of men. You see, but Yahweh Bashim Shai is showing his power and showing his anger towards his people. He set up the basest of men to be the ruler of the whole world. Going ultimately back to the prophecy that was given in Genesis, the 27th chapter, where Esau was going to get the fatness of the world. We're experiencing the fulfillment of that prophecy right now as Esau has the fatness of the world. You see, but he's really the basest or the lowest of all men. It tells you when you read the book of Job how he brayed. Let's get that real quick. Okay? This is Job chapter 30, verse 1. We'll read kind of quickly. It says, but now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Going into how these Edomites, they were initially, looked at as being so-called cavemen. You know, they call themselves Caucasians, which Caucasian, when you get it, is a cave dweller. When you break that word down, you know, they were the original ones that were, braying in the caves and, making all kinds of weird ass noises and ooh, 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 doing all. But they try to equate that with Jake being monkeys. This is actually Esau's history, man. When you read that book, the 13th Tribe, it goes into that. Arthur, damn, what's that dude's last name? Arthur Windsor, if I'm not mistaken. I have to Google it, but it's called the 13th Tribe. You can look it up. It says, "Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished." It says, "For want," or for lack, right? "And famine they were solitary." You see, because Esau got pushed into the Caucasus Mountains. That's not where they're originally from. Okay, because they were in they were in a Petra. Because when somebody says, "Oh yeah, you guys initially came from out of Georgia, Russia, from the Caucasus Mountains," that's incorrect. That's not where Esau initially that's not where Esau initially came from. He came out of Mount Seir, and he actually took that land from the Horites. Okay, it says, "For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men." You see that? "They cried after them as after a thief." Get your ass out of here, man. And Esau kind of relived that during the time of the Dark Ages. It says, "To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks." You see? That's why you got concrete everywhere, skyscrapers. They want to do. That's their modern day, mountains that they dwell in now, man. It says, "Among the bushes they brayed," and brayling's like a horse. That's like a bray, So that was Esau doing that before when they was in a bestial state. "Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together." You see, let's read this. It says, "They sound like animals howling among the bushes, huddled together beneath the nettles." They were children. Let's read this. Let's continue with NLT. "They are nameless fools, outcasts from society." You see, they're initially outcasts, man. That's why the scripture says, "I have made thee small amongst the heathen." Esau is the lowest of the low, man. You see, Esau is really the lowest of the low. But through Yahweh Bashim Shai's power and might, what did he do? He set him up to be on top, ultimately to prove a point. You see, and like I said, I'd rather say like the scriptures say. Going back to the scriptures, it says that what? "In dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life." You see, it says you will crawl on your belly, groveling in the dust as long as you live. Once again, being on your belly represents the state of being low. And then dust represents humiliation. Like, Jake would put, it was an ancient sign of mourning where you would put dust on your head. You would cast dust on your head, whenever, somebody may have passed away, or if you were in a state of mourning or grief. You would put dust on your head. You would rend your garment. And sometimes you would, matter of fact, it's scripture, man. It just came to my mind as I was speaking. Sit in ashes. Let me see real quick. Sat in ash. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This is a good one. This is Job 2:8, and this is whenever Job, he got the plague of boils. This is after, his kids died. He lost everything. It says, "And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes." You see, sitting down among the ashes, all right, was a sign of mourning. Okay, this is another good one. Jonah 3:6. "For the word came unto the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne, and he laid his robe from him, and covered him with sackcloth, and sat in ashes." Okay, and that's whenever the prophecy was that Nineveh was going to be destroyed. Okay, whenever Nineveh was going to, Jonah was prophesying that Nineveh was going to be destroyed. Pretty much, the king of Nineveh proclaimed a fast. Everybody had to fast and put on sackcloth, and it says that he sat in ashes. But there's another one I'm looking for, with King David. Maybe if I find it, I'll set it up. I'll place it in the comment board, Lord willing. But yeah, when you ashes and dust are synonymous. It represents the low, like the lowest of the low. And really Esau is low. The Lord set him up on top for a reason, but he's really in a low state. Okay? And that's why you have Esau scrambling around the way he is, because he knows he has but a short time, but it's really all rooted in confusion. All right, this is Isaiah 47:1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon." And who operates and runs the virgin daughter of Babylon? All right, well, let's get it. Let's prove it. Psalm 137. All right, Psalm 137 and 7. It says, "Remember, O Yahweh, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof," which that word raise means to destroy. All right, so Edom, or Esau Edom, all right, pretty much was cheering on and rooting for our destruction whenever the Babylonians came down, all right, and sacked the temple, roughly around like 586 BC. They actually helped them. They actually helped them sack the temple. Okay? It says, "O daughter of Babylon," right? So Esau Edom is synonymous with the daughter of Babylon. "O daughter of Babylon, who are to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us." See? So the daughter of Babylon would be operated and ran by Esau Edom. Going back to what? "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground." Excuse me. It says sit on the ground. Okay? Now that word dust here is ipar. Same word that we read earlier in Genesis. All right? And it says what? Of humiliation. Sitting or lying in the dust. You see? Sitting or lying in dust. So I ain't talking about no actual snake slithering around in some dust. Dust all over his body. Just ashy as hell. Just over there, it's just eating dust balls all day, man. Okay? That's what Christianity wants to try to tell you, but that's not what it's talking about. All right? Now, let me do this real quick. Let me see something. This is from Manners and Customs of the Bible by James Freeman. All right. It says the mill. Okay, let's take a look at this. So it says the woman. Now this is on page 940. And this goes into the mill. It says, and this is Matthew 24:41. "Two women shall be grinding at the mill. One, two women gonna be grinding at the mill. One shall be taken and one shall be left. But it says the women who ground, the women who ground were among the families of wealth. The women who ground were among the families of wealth, either slaves or the lowest servants." So, if you would see a woman that's grinding grinding mill, they were pretty much servants, or slaves, or the lowest of servants of families who, were in a high position, right? It says, "Thus in Exodus 11:5, we read of the maid servant that is behind the mill," because that was something that women did. They would grind mill, they would, bake bread. They were really industrious in the ancient world. But now today, these women, is completely backwards, right? In this passage, the expression "behind the mill" can be readily understood by what is said above of the position of the servants when grinding. Mind you, who's grinding this mill is servants, right? Keep servants in mind. It says the prophet Isaiah represents the virgin daughter of Babylon, right, as compelled to sit on the ground like a servant to grind meal. See that? Sit on the ground. See, because that was, like I said, that was really a position of servitude, of the lowest servant, right? See Isaiah 47, 1 and 2. We also have more vividly brought, we also have more vividly brought before us the indignity which the Philistines put on Samson when they compelled him to grind in the prison house. Going into the time when that was his, that was his job. Representing what? A lowly position. Okay? A lowly position to sit on the ground. Okay? Keep that up. Lord willing, this is all making sense. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans." Because that's ultimately what Esau's trying to establish. He's trying to establish, a digital godhead, a technocracy where he's going to be on top. You see, but, the Lord is going to allow him, to be able to establish it a little bit, but he's going to ultimately be brought down. That's why it says sit on the ground, right? It says, "For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." And that's why you see America crumbling, all right, the way that it's crumbling right now. Due to the fact of prophecy, due to the fact that ultimately Esau, it was ordained from the beginning that Esau is going to be brought down to a lowly position. Going all the way back to that serpent. That serpent that grew into this, that's why the scriptures call him that what? That old, man, I got to get it. That old serpent. Okay? Why does the scriptures call him the old serpent in Revelation? Okay? Revelation 12 and 9. "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world." That old serpent. You see that? That old serpent goes back into who? That old serpent, which is Esau, but he wasn't called Esau back then, obviously, because Esau wasn't on the scene. But it's that same spirit. Okay? He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And that's ultimately whenever Yahushua returns, all right, with the holy host. And there's going to be a war of the worlds. There's going to be a war in the heavens between Yahushua and the angels and Esau and his military. And Yahushua is going to completely obliterate them. Okay? And he laid, Revelation 20 and 2, "And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, and Satan bound him 1,000 years." Okay, and this is going into whenever the Dark Ages was on the scene, and Esau was pretty much cast down. And then through the Renaissance period, he got back up into power as the prophecy said would happen. Okay, this is Micah 7. All right, verse 17. It says, "Thou shalt lick the dust like a serpent." Okay, going into whenever our enemies behold the elect, Lord willing, we have that number being beamed up. It says what? "They shall lick the dust like a serpent." What serpent, once again, what serpent do you know licks dust? None. You're not going to find no snake licking the dust. It's the same word, ipar. Okay, same Hebrew word here. What? As serpent's food, token of punishment and humiliation. Pretty much a sign of humility. Okay? Licking dust of humiliation. Licking the dust. Okay? They shall, and that's why the scripture says they shall lick the dust. They shall lick the dust of your what's that scripture? I think it's in Isaiah, which I might have to look for it here in a minute. But it says they shall lick the dust like a serpent. They shall move out of their holes like worms of the earth. Going into whenever these elites are in their bunkers, they're in their deep underground military bunkers and their space stations and things of that nature. But this is specifically talking about going into the caves of the earth. Here it is. It's crazy. That's where they began, and the spirit of the Lord gonna have it to whereas they're gonna go back into the caves to try to escape the judgment. Man, that's heavy. It says they shall be afraid of Yahweh our power, and shall fear because of thee. And that's whenever the elect, all right, are being are coming out of them chariots with all power, with transformed bodies. Man, New Jerusalem coming out of heaven. This also lines up. I guarantee you, when you get the cross reference, Isaiah the 2nd chapter is probably gonna be in there. Yep. See? Isaiah 2 and 19 and 21. See? They're going to go into the holes of the earth, rocks, and the caves of the earth for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty. When he arises to shake terribly the earth, when Yahweh Shai returns. In that day, man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made, each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty, when he arises to shake terribly the earth. You see? And this is whenever Esau is going down. You know, he's going to be pushed back into the caves. And he thinks he going to escape because the caves going to be all luxurious. You know, you're going to have servants down there. You know, they're going to think they're going to escape, but the elect are going to have that power to take his ass out. Take their ass out, man. And these elites are going to be the first fruits. You know, they're going to be the first fruits of slavery, man. These Rothschilds, these Rockefellers, these devils that's going to escape the nuclear destruction. Oh, they don't think they're going to escape. Okay? This is Psalm 72, which when you read this is a psalm for Solomon, right? It says, and this is a spiritual talking about Yahweh Shai, he shall have dominion, which they're the same person. He shall have dominion also from sea to sea. Talking about Yahweh Shai, and from the river unto the ends of the earth. Now, this is a psalm for Solomon, but this hasn't happened yet. They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. You see, the enemies are going to lick the dust. That word lick is lachak. All right, lachak. Okay? And it says here, it says lick, like you actually, you know, like licking. But it says what? Lick the dust. Sign of humiliation. Not going to be actually licking on the ground, you know, get your ass on the ground and start licking the dirt. You know? It's not what it's actually talking about. You know, like it says they shall lick the, let me see if I can find it. Yep, here we go. Let's actually end it off on this one. Isaiah 49, verse 23. So let's end it off on this one. Let's start at verse 22. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Gentiles and set up my standard to the people. And they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and thy daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. Right? And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. Right? Going into whenever the heathen, our enemies are going to serve us. He that leadeth us into captivity shall go into captivity. You see? But the thing about Esau is that his captivity is actually really going to be worse than everybody else's. Because after 1,000 years of captivity, his ass going to be burnt up. Right? It says, they shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth. Face toward the earth. On your belly thou shalt go. With their face on the earth, and lick up the dust of thy feet. Now, does that mean that we're going to have our feet kicked up and we're going to actually really have some Edomites' tongues, nasty, decrepit, yellow, beastie, caveman, bestial tongue just licking our feet in the king? We're going to have our feet kicked up. Yeah, lick my feet, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Lick my feet, you Edomite. Spit on the bottom of your feet. No, man. No, it just represents humiliation. It represents a low, degrading form of humiliation. Okay? And thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. And that's going into the elect. You know, it's going to trickle down to all Israel, but it begins with the elect. Okay? They're not going to actually lick our feet. Like I say, I'll say it again. They're not actually, you got these Israelites, that sit there and, get, at camp, and they have the Edomites, kiss my boots. But here it is, your ass gotta go to work in those same boots the next day. Your ass still in captivity. That don't mean a damn thing. Kiss my feet. I personally won't want no Edomite mouth on my foot. Just in general, period. I don't want no mouth on my feet anyway. Once again, that's just me. I don't want no goddamn tongue on my toes. Hell no. But once again, it goes into what? Lick the dust is a sign of humiliation. So this judgment, this divine judgment for the serpent, goes all the way back to the garden. So Esau can't escape. That's why the scripture says to execute the judgment written in Psalm 147. Or 149. That judgment's written. Esau can't escape that. He can't escape it. As much as he tries, he can't escape it. All right? So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect of Yahweh B'Shem Shai. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Chakudash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and that's what teaching this truth, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Until next time, Lord willing, I say